From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Azan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
We gotta stay till I die.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, Roll Tribe Roll. FSU dominates number 8 Alabama. What were the most surprising aspects of the performance? What were the most fulfilling? What are the expectations moving forward? And where are we going to be ranked later today? What a world! Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Shake it and take it, everybody. Sip the juice. And not quite as great as Breaking the Rock, but really close, everybody. warchantbogo. Take advantage of that after a victory. Buy one, get one free when you visit vitaminenergy.com. Formulated synergistically to give you all the energy you need to make it through your workday and then some with vitamins, nutrients, and caffeine. 260 milligrams all natural caffeine. No smoke and mirrors, no sugar rush, no sugar crash because there's no sugar. It's just vitamin energy, everybody. Shake it and take it. warchantbogo. Buy one, get one free over at vitaminenergy.com. Warchant.com. Number one with a bullet on the On3 message board growth this past weekend, Corey. Lots of excitement in the kingdom after a huge win in the opener, as we all expected, tongue-in-cheek.
Right. We've been telling you that for 10 months, everyone.
It's okay if you want to be a fan later, but that later has arrived, everybody. Time to get on board, warchant.com. Go sign up, get all the access, all the information you want. Hop on the message boards, interact with the most passionate fans in all of Florida State internet community. Although I don't know, maybe FSU Twitter might win. But we're a little more civil at times on the message boards. Corey Clark, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, buddy. What a fun weekend. Starting Friday and then right up until as we record this on in all transparency. We got to be transparent. It's before the coordinators that we're recording this because, your boy maybe wanted to watch the Miami Notre Dame game. And we will address Gus and Tony on the next show. But, I feel like we have enough to talk about from what happened Saturday that we could make our own observations. But, feeling really good, man. It was a really, really fun weekend and a cathartic weekend for a lot of people in Tallahassee. Oh,
absolutely right on. Florida State takes on and takes down number 8 Alabama 31-17 on Saturday inside of Doak Campbell 3.0 renovated stadium. People worried about sound, noise, architectural design, all of that. Completely a footnote into what happened on the field. And Corey, so many places we can start. I mean, I think just for me, the big picture takeaway is, you thought they were going to cover. I thought they were going to cover. I think everybody at warchant.com picked it within that 2 touchdown sort of variance or whatever we want to call it. The spread is what they call it, everybody.
Yeah, that's what they call it. Yeah, good call.
And not taking any credit for this, obviously, because I don't think any of us thought that Florida State was going to win because none of us picked Florida State. Nobody on the panel over at Game Day thought they were going to win other than Lee Corso, and Lee just did it out of the goodness of his heart in his last hoorah. Everybody at Bama Online, their entire staff also thought Alabama was going to win. Nonetheless, though, Corey, for me, it's hard to even put myself in my shoes 72 hours ago to think of what would need to happen for Florida State to win, because I don't know if I feel like I would have had to hear a confluence of ridiculous things that I'm like, there's just no way that's going to happen. My concern always was trying to get all these new pieces to operate as one, and not only as one, but within your standard, Gus's speed, Tony White's aggressiveness. So the fact that Florida State pulled this off was underscored by the fact that they were somehow programmed over the last 9 months to really be the superior physical team. They were more physical. They were more violent than Alabama. Yep. I did not foresee that coming. They were the better coached, better prepared, more comfortable team out there too. There was a moment, I was about to tweet it out, on average, there had to have been 3.5 players on the Alabama defense that were confused out of their mind from the first quarter up until they had that little spurt where I think they might have stopped Florida State twice. They didn't know what was coming to happen, what was coming at them. Florida State had them off their heels. So the fact that Florida State was able to execute so cleanly in week 1 against a really talented opponent, at least on paper. I did not think that was going to be possible, let alone them execute and be so physical. I think those are the two keys to me that let Florida State win the game. What was it for you?
I mean, yeah, that was right there too. I think you have a quarterback that just changes things. It's not that he's the best quarterback Florida State's ever had. He's the best running quarterback Florida State's ever had, because I am of the opinion he's one of the best running quarterbacks that's ever played college football when he's healthy. As you watched that on Saturday, you had to wonder, what in the world was O'Brien thinking at Boston College to have something like that and not use it?
Properly,
like, want him to be a traditional drop-back passer. That's not what he is, man. But what he is a guy that when you're trying to run the 4-minute drill to end a game after your defense just got another stop, kudos to the defense, man, by the way, all of it. He is a guy that can snake and kind of dive for those first downs and get those extra yards. He is really slippery, and when it's 3rd and 4, he does a pretty darn good job of getting 6 yards. If it's 3rd and 3 or 2nd and 8, he'll get you 10. He didn't have any huge runs on Saturday. I don't know what his longest run was, maybe 13 yards. But he led the game in rushing. He almost had as many rushing yards as Alabama did as a team. That is such a weapon to have all the time, but especially like when things aren't going well or late in games when you're trying to ice the clock. I mean, think about, and I asked Norvell about it, the two guys that iced the game for him running the ball at the end of a game against Alabama were Jalen Lucas and Tommy Castellanos. Two guys that have probably been overlooked a bit in their life, Aslan. As a short king myself, I understand, and as a great athlete myself,
yes, sir.
I can understand getting overlooked like that. So it says something for guys like that to run that hard and make those kind of plays. Guys that have been doubted are still doubted. That's really cool, but I think it goes back to the quarterback, man. That run, we might look back on this season and say, oh, whatever, it was just one win over Alabama. They don't end up having a great season. Or if it turns into something really special, that first touchdown run that Castellanos had, man, that little shimmy he did at like the 5 to pause that Alabama defender and then just, I'm going to go ahead and burst into the end zone. And then, I'm going to be mobbed by Peter Warrick and Dalvin Cook in the corner of the end zone. Come on, man. Like, I don't know how as a Florida State fan that just doesn't bring a huge smile to your face. Number one, seeing how excited Dalvin and Peter Warrick are for their alma mater, for the team they scored a ton of touchdowns for. But then, like, They recognize him, man. Game recognizes game. That was a move. That was a sick move at the 5-yard line against big bad Alabama. And then, I think so. Tommy is number one. And then if you want to go to defense, and let's go to defense real quick. It's not just that they play hard, fast, and physical. Earl Little is a menace. That dude is a menace, man. And the fact that he didn't – I don't want to bring up last year. It's crazy to me he didn't play last year. You couldn't use that. You couldn't find a use. You couldn't see that was something that was desperately needed on that side of the ball last year until the season was over. But he and Ashlyn Barker, I thought, were really impressive. And then the fact that they're playing like Desir, both Desirs,
a bunch,
a bunch, man. Like, how good are those guys going to be?
Dude,
Mandrell
played 30 snaps, and Darrell played 19.
That's nuts. They're true freshmen against Alabama, and they accounted for themselves pretty well. And then Cromwell, I mean, I know he didn't have a great game. There aren't going to be many running backs that have great games against Alabama, I don't think, unless they just cash in this season. But he has some special stuff to him too now, and he's a true freshman that had 32 yards against Alabama. I just think that it was a really encouraging game all the way around, like you said. There's some, but the beauty, number one, I'm all over the place here. The beauty, number one, is that they didn't play close to their best game. The passing game will be better than that. Deuce and Squirrel are going to not combine. They're going to combine for more than 3 catches moving forward. They weren't much of a factor in that game, other than Squirrel's big catch on the first drive. But man,
which was
they
huge.
Got some.
Which was
really
huge. Yeah.
Randy Pittman is going to be a player. You can tell just from the way he blocks and how physical he is. He's going to be a player. And then how many guys they played on defense, and the way they played, the way they rallied to the ball, played violently, tried to attack, hit hard, sacrificed their bodies, blew up screen passes. Man, that was just really good to see. It's really good to see. And it's something to build on. Yes, it was an upset. Yes, nobody was expecting it. But as I told a million people on Friday night at Corner Pocket, and then Saturday at Indigo, and then at the tailgate I was at for half a minute, when people would ask me what's my real thought of the game, like what do I really expect to happen, my legitimate answer was I have no idea. Like who could? It was a brand new team with brand new coaches, and now we know they're pretty effing good, which is cool. It's really cool for Florida State fans and for Florida State media, frankly, to have a team like this to cover again, because I feel like they're going to be fun to watch.
Somebody tweeted at me like, man, I'm so happy, but I'm also really happy for all you guys that cover the team. And it's like, don't worry about us. We'll be okay. Although you're a little bit worried about whether or not you'll have a job if they don't figure this thing out. But back to your whole point about, we mentioned it, a few months ago that like there's so much unknown, but just go into the season embracing it, kind of like don't be anxious about it, don't be scared about it. Just be like, hey man, like there's a really high possibility they can do some crazy stuff. There's also a high possibility they could maybe not do some crazy stuff. But I think the unknown and not knowing what this team really could have been extended beyond just us, Corey. I think it extended to Alabama. Some of the comments I saw from Kellen DeBoer after the loss was he mentioned about the fact that they played on their heels, Alabama, he thought, and also that they gave Florida State belief. Like he's like, we allowed them to believe in themselves. I think that he thought after maybe like that first drive, which was not the kind of drive you wanted to see if you were a Florida State fan, where they were able to kind of run the ball and then throw on time and make really easy throws. Right? Like everything on that first drive was really simple in front of Ty Simpson's face. He had protection, nothing special. It's like, oh man, if they can run the ball and he's going to have all day to throw the ball, it's going to be a long day. But you answer right back, and they faced third down. Was that a third down completion to Squirrel?
Yeah, it was 3rd and 9.
Man, you overthrew him, which whatever, I'm not complaining, but like you overthrew him, but Squirrel made a fantastic diving catch to not only keep that drive alive, but to put you in the red zone. Like,
if you overthrew him, he wouldn't have caught it. We've seen plenty of overthrows in our lifetimes covering Florida State football. He put it where he could catch it.
Yeah.
That's a tough window to drop it in. Like, that was a good throw. I just don't want to take that. Like, Tommy didn't have a ton of great throws. I thought that was a perfectly fine throw. He threw it where his guy could catch it and didn't make him have to, he just didn't overthrow him. We've seen that all the time, Aslan. An overthrow is an overthrow where the guy has no chance to catch it.
He had time. All right, well, noted. But that
hey,
play,
man, they're not all going to drop right in your hands, Squirrel.
Well, I know.
Sorry. Go make some plays.
I'm not saying they all have to. I'm just saying, like, that was a good enough throw, and that was a more
great
than needed effort to bring the
ran right by
down.
That dude like he had no idea who Squirrel White was.
Yeah, that was crazy. But, I think Kalen DeBoer thought that if they could jump on Florida State early, they were going to be able to kind of cruise because, yes, this was a new team, but there's probably lingering concerns about what they were last year. And it's like, man, they flushed it out, which I did not think they could flush it out this quickly, Corey. And it kind of goes back to Mike after the Florida loss. If you go back and listen to it, and, whoever's doing the climb, that should be the first 10 seconds of the climb episode, should literally be like a flashback to that moment where he's like, I know what needs to get done. And he says something along the lines of that, but he says it's going to be a quick fix.
Yeah.
He said it twice, I think. He was like, it will be a quick fix. And, he said that, hey, man, I've looked at it, I've seen, I know what it looks like when it's good. I've obviously looked at it and knows when it's bad. And it was tough to really believe him in that moment. But, man, he believed in himself, and he was able to put together a team that, believed in itself so early and did not get down on itself at all. And I think Alabama was expecting Florida State to maybe roll over if they were able to jump on them early. And they did. But then Tommy, to your point, man, makes some huge plays. And then I think it was the second drive, Corey, right? Like, Alabama's marching down the field. And then it's end of quarter. They're on the plus side of the field. I think it's 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5. And they drop a really nice, screen, a throwback pass, right? Like, I think Simpson kind of, flushes himself out to the right, pretending he's going to dump it off that way. But then he looks back and throws it to the left. And I don't know who swarmed Jeremy Bernard, but that ends up being a TFL. They lose 4 or 5 yards on that pass play. Next play, I think, is a false start. So now it's 3rd and 11, 3rd and 13. They don't get any yards or enough yards, rather.
And then miss the field goal,
And then miss the field goal. And then it's like, all right, man, at that point, if you're Kalen DeBoer, it's like, all right, they have belief now, man. They have belief. Yeah. They took your best shot. They responded with a touchdown. You came back, and you punch them and they laughed it off. And it's like, uh-oh. Like now you're in for a 60-minute football game.
And I just think so. The first big play, I feel like they had after Alabama's touchdown. By the way, real quick, that one, I know it was a 16-play marathon drive, but you almost were kind of encouraged by that. Like, well, golly, that wasn't all that easy for Big Bad Alabama. Like, they had to pick up some third downs. I thought James Williams was horrific on that first drive and then played really well, I thought, or pretty darn well the rest of the game.
6 pressures.
Yeah.
He was the second lowest graded guy on defense, but he had 6 pressures.
Yeah, but he missed some tackles, and they take away some stuff for that, obviously. But also, he just kept getting pushed inside or, getting caught in the wash inside and allowing Simpson to just run easily for first downs. Mm-hmm. Once that was taken away, there went their rushing game. Completely, and there went their offense completely. But that happened on the first drive. But even then, it wasn't easy for Alabama. It seemed pretty obvious, like, okay, they might be in for a day now. Like, not that they're going to lose. I mean, they just went down the field and scored. But a 16-play drive where they had to convert three third downs and 1 4th down wasn't maybe the cakewalk they were expecting against, horrible, quote-unquote, Florida State. And then the first play on offense on the next drive, the first big play, is a Tommy 14-yard run for a first down. And it's like, yep, there's the dynamic that you can't prepare for. You can put whoever you want at quarterback on scout. You're not used to this. And then he makes a good throw to Squirrel, and then the very next play, hurry up, he does that little dipsy-do move for a touchdown. And absolutely there's belief. And then Mekhi Danzy's unleashed. By the way, how many carries do you think Mekhi Danzy got last year, Aslan?
Did we get
without
deked?
Looking it up?
Did we get deked by Gus? Because I think we were talking about him on a show a few weeks ago, and it was after the last time we spoke to Gus. And I think you said it sounded like Gus told us to kind of pump the brakes on Mekhi. Like, he'll be good, but he's going to need time. Did we get deked? Was that like,
yeah.
I know this guy's going to be good, but I don't want you guys to talk about him too much?
Well, it's weird because I don't know what they're going to use him as yet. Like, I know he played receiver in this game, but that was a lot of, his plays were obviously all runs, but he had 2 carries all of last year. Cam Davis had 55. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to relitigate last year, but you get good coaches in here that know what it looks like, that know what they're doing, and also an offensive line coach that, he played, the 5 guys played the whole game, and they played well. And but Mekhi Danzy being unleashed, Jalen Lucas being unleashed, all of a sudden you start to think, okay, with a Tommy, a Jalen, a Mekhi, Deuce Squirrel, Deuce wasn't even really used, Randy Pittman wasn't used, Boggs didn't have a catch, all that's coming too. And then don't forget Cromwell now. Like, there's some stuff to really get excited about, but maybe what we should all be excited about the most is what that offensive line looked like. They didn't win every rep. I get it. But gosh darn, they played pretty good, and they played smart. And you look at the first – if you guys go watch the first Danzy big run, the Danzy touchdown, watch what Gunnar Hansen does. He's out in front of him. There's no one really to block. So he actually turns around and looks for somebody to block, and he chips somebody that's getting really close to making the tackle. He turns, has the awareness to knock him off his path, and that sets up the touchdown run. Also, Danzy's not just speed now. Like, dude, he broke off some tackles.
Yeah, that guy dove at him and just, flung
bounced off him.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, those 400 guys, the 400-meter guys, they got those strong thighs, Aslan. Those strong thighs you just bounce off of. And even his other run in the second half, the big run, he didn't get tackled. They just pushed him out of bounds. They couldn't bring him to the ground. That's a nice weapon to have. But, yeah, I think Tommy gave them so much belief early with those plays, with those types of plays. And then when Danzy hits that, and Gus is doing his uppercut running down the sideline like it's 2013 again. Buddy, man, that was a big moment, and I want to say this before I forget it. You talked about it at the opening. That's Doak at its peak, man. I know it's less people, but that was a crowd that was into the game from start to finish. That believed. Like, once they scored that touchdown to make it 7-7, and especially when Danzy scored to go ahead again over Big Bad Alabama, that is a fan base that not only believed, but again remembered, or actually tried to remind Alabama and their fans and everybody watching on TV and Tessitore in the effing booth. This is Florida State, man. This ain't TCU trying to pull an upset, or Iowa State or Washington State, or name any other schools that haven't mattered in this sport. Florida State matters, and they have a passionate fan base that can jump on your throat when you give them a chance. And Doak is a hard place to play when you have a good team that's competently coached. And this team might be more than competently coached. They might be well coached. They certainly were the better coached team on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Glad to see so many people came out for the home field can't miss kickoff tour presented by Modelo. I know they were super impressed by the passion, the turnout from all the Florida State fans. I'm usually good about pulling out the phone and writing down all the people I met, Corey, but just like stream of consciousness, I had to come back to the house afterwards and then after the fact write down. So I forgot a bunch of people, but got to see the great Roy Schneider, who's been around warchant.com forever with his lovely wife. Also saw Jackson, whose parents, Scott and Kelly, I think recently just had birthdays. He is the one with the brother Brock, and I think it says her name is Kaylee. Kaylee actually listens to us, if that's correctly her name, religiously as she walks around the stadium in the morning to get her steps in, Corey. So shout out to her. Jackson was also with his friend, who I think was Teddy Flozevelt on the YouTube. I met a Joe, a Jack, a Holton. Jeremy was up from South Florida with his friend Charles. Dustin and Marie, they're fantastic human beings. They gave us an extremely thoughtful greeting card and a gift in it. Brian and his young son, who I took a photo with, that was asking me a lot of questions about the Alabama game. He was really eager, and he told me his name, but I could not make it out properly. Also, Thomas, who came down from Nashville, I think. It was good to meet him. And then a bunch of other people I also met, too, and I probably forgot your names. I'm sorry, and I'm not picking favorites. It's awesome to come out to those events at Corner Pocket and see everybody and hear all the cool things you have to say about the show and the website. And we appreciate you. Hope you folks appreciate Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Remember, 4 to 7 o'clock, happy hours weekdays, all day Sunday, trivia on Tuesday at 7 p.m., bingo night as well. And Corey Clark always at the CP.
That's right. I was there Saturday night after the game, and somebody came up to me and was like, "You really are here all the time." I'm like, "Yeah, man. It's not false advertising, baby. I'm here all the time." I have a bunch of people I want to shout out to, but I'm going to do that at the end of the show. I don't want to cut more into Bill's time. Also, I want people to listen to the end of the show. But there were some really interesting exchanges between myself and some fans of Florida State, fans of the show too, that I wanted to talk about right there at the end. But we'll get back to it. Bill, great. By the way, real quick, I don't think I've had the corn dog bites. I don't know why I hadn't had the corn dog bites before Saturday night. They might be the best thing on the menu, Aslan.
Ooh, okay.
Unbelievable. And I wasn't even drunk. I wasn't drunk. I was the driver. But sometimes everything tastes good when you're drunk. Oh, these are the best Cheetos I've ever had. Those corn dog bites are legit. They're like something out of a gourmet magazine. I don't know what they're doing. But, yeah, go order the corn dog bites next time you're at Corner Pocket, which is hopefully this weekend if you're out of town to come watch your Noles again.
That's right. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway, cptallybar.com, the website. We are back. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com, warchantbogo, the promo code buy one, get one free. Man, I'm a really petty guy, Corey. I can't imagine what I'd be like if I was a head football coach and people doubted me, and then I come out on top and show them who the boss is. And I think there was a very interesting kind of balance struck at the podium by Mike Norvell on Saturday where not quite patting himself on the back, but kind of I got this. I told you guys, I got this. Just, give me some time to figure it out, and I'll figure it out. But then also the humility of that he knew that this team, to your point, probably didn't play anywhere near its optimal capabilities, but he knows that they're still committed to the work and coming back in on Sunday and doing their walkthrough and trying to get better. So he could have, Saturday could have been this huge indictment on him, his future at Florida State, and he passed it with absolute flying colors. And he could have probably been a little bit more abrasive or braggadocious or whatever you want to call it. But, he talked about how much Florida State means to him. It's the people here. If you listen to the last 5 minutes of that press conference, you would be like, all right, man, we can maybe have a conference call with Jimmy Sexton and add some terms to your deal. But don't do that, everybody. That's how you find yourself in some weird deals sometimes. And I just found it impressive that he kind of struck an important balance of confidence in himself, but also realizing all the doubt and how that fueled them, but not holding a grudge or being contentious about it.
Yeah, and you can't. You don't have the right to do that right now. Not because it's not a big deal to beat Alabama. It is, and it definitely shows that you've improved your roster and your coaching staff greatly. But it's the first game. Don't go patting yourself on the back. He's been around enough, man. Like you can't. He knows it's a long season. Like the best half that Florida State has played the whole 2023 season was the second half against LSU in the opener. After that, they were still a very good football team. But they peaked kind of in that second half. You don't want Saturday to be your peak, and he knows that. He's lived this, man. He's had undefeated teams. He's gone to Cotton Bowls. He's gone to Orange Bowls. He's also done 3-6 and 2-10. So he knows never to get too high, and it would be dumb if he did. Just like as you talked about last week, I thought astutely, don't get so low when you lose. Like, let's handle it a little better. But I to that point, I thought he handled Saturday perfectly. He also, what they do now in these press conferences, which is kind of new, I think it's the last couple of years, a lot of trustees, members, and higher-ups, administrators, and their families will come in and sit above us in this theater that we do the press conference from. And, when Cryer and Earl Little were done, they got applause. That was not us cheering. When Castellanos was done, that was not – that. By the way, real quick, this is another side. Castellanos comes in the room and lets out like a barbaric yawp.
Like a Ric Flair woo. Yeah.
Like a Ric Flair woo.
Yeah.
And then he gets asked a question loudly. And he's all dynamic. We know his personality. Then he sits at the podium and gets asked a question like, how good did this feel?
Yeah,
It felt great, man. It felt good. It felt good. Just like whispering. It's like,
Yeah.
what? This isn't the Tommy we want. But anyway, so they get applauded when he and Jalen leave. And then Norvell got applauded as he was leaving the podium. And I could see like a kind of wry smile on his face. And I wonder if part of it was like, yeah, right. Like, I'm not buying any of this, just like I didn't buy anything last year when everybody hated me. Like, at this point, Mike Norvell knows it's a week-to-week deal with college football fans, especially at a place like Florida State where they expect to win all the time. This is the deal, man. But I do think they love you and they hate you, and you just got to be confident in who you are. I think he's right to be confident in who he is, but he also had to go get some big boy coordinators. So I do want to give the administration credit for not only and Battles In and all the people that put together this roster in this coaching staff, because it did cost money. And when I write stories like this is Florida State, be proud of who you are, be proud of what you've built and what this program is, and you are a blue blood. My point is always like, man, Tommy Castellanos isn't like I don't know that he's going to a Kansas State. If Florida State is an option. Florida State is that's a destination school. Deuce Robinson isn't going to,
he's not leaving
Arizona.
SC. Yeah, he's not leaving Southern Cal to go to.
Man. Squirrel White's not leaving Tennessee for Arizona or Oregon State. The good players, man, Florida State rings out and has the relevance and the resources to put together a team that can compete immediately with the biggest of big boys in the country. Immediately after a horrific season. So that's what I'm talking about. Like that is fan investment, that's fan resources, that's Bobby, Mickey, Dion, everybody, Derek, Warwick. I saw Warwick Dunn in the press box, by the way. Everybody that built this thing, man. Dalvin and Peter Warwick on the sidelines. This is all them. And so remember that when you feel less than. And that's kind of what the point I wanted to make last week is you should never feel less than. Last year sucked for all of us, but that doesn't mean your program is a joke. It was a joke of a season, but Florida State is still Florida State, and I promise you Alabama realizes that now. They were idiots for taking Florida State lightly. This is still Florida State, man. They still can go get the Deuce Robinsons and the Luke Pettibones and the Gunnar Hansons and the Micah Pettises of the world. Earl Little can play. Earl Little left Alabama to come here and stayed here. And you got Tony White to leave Nebraska. You got Gus to leave a head coaching job. They didn't do it out of the goodness of their hearts. They're getting paid. They also know this is a place to come to make your career. Whether you're Gus and you want to resurrect it, whether you're Tony and you want to be a head coach, this is a great place to come because they make kings here, man. Or they can if you play your cards right. It's a big boy school, and they can bring in real talent. And luckily, the rest of the country saw that last year, I think, was an anomaly. I'm not saying this is a championship team. It's one game against opponent we don't even know how good they are. Alabama might be ready for their 2-10 season. We have no idea. But I do know that this Florida State team is really good. And I think I have a hunch about Norvell, but I understand the doubt could still be there. There's still some skepticism there. I get it. Because 2-10 wasn't that long ago. But, I mean, we'll see. We'll have a much better idea right after this season, probably in the middle of October, like we've all said. But he talks about response all the time, Aslan. What a response to a disaster. Coming out in your first game in a newly renovated stadium that apparently everybody loved. It was loud. I know there were some probably hiccups for people. The Wi-Fi is never going to work. We get it.
I haven't seen any threads. Sorry, Corey. I haven't seen any threads on the tribal council complaining. So,
and everybody I talked to that went to the game loved it. Yeah. Loved the atmosphere, the new atmosphere. Loved their new seats. Loved the volume. Loved the lack of DJ. They loved everything about it, man. So winning helps. But what a response to the awfulness of last year to come out in your first game and essentially not dominate, but control a game against Alabama. That's a pretty dang good response for a great program, and maybe a really good head coach.
Man, we could talk for 2 more hours, and I don't think we're going to hit on everything. And I don't know how organized the timestamps are going to be today, everybody. So I apologize, but I had a thought earlier about the defense that not burying the lead, but all these things that happened on Saturday. If you would have told me on Friday, I would have laughed at you and been like, no way, that's impossible. Even the final score, right? But I think the one thing that might have been the most no way, I don't believe you, is that Florida State would have limited Alabama to under 100 yards rushing, Corey. I think that's the first time Alabama's been held. It was I think I saw on the bottom line on ESPN. I mean, you might have to go back to the 50s that Alabama was held under 100 yards rushing in their season opener. So Tony White is the guy that didn't do the complete reboot, right? They added a lot of pieces, no doubt. But guys like Ashlyn Barker, Daniel Lyons, Blake Nicholson, I thought had a pretty good game. And Blake played a lot, it seemed like, and we didn't really hear a lot about Blake. So, I mean, the defense being able to play and rise up the way they did, especially after the first drive, which, to your point earlier, wasn't like they laid over. I mean, then Alabama had to earn every single one of those 7 points they got on that first drive. But to see the defense play that way, what is the most surprising development from that defense? I think people might have thought they were going to play more multiple, more confusing, and they did. There were some twists that they hit on, but
not a lot of it though. With
it was
the blitzing,
just
right?
Yeah, but it just seemed like, dude, they just got push. They got push on this All-American laden mock draft top cream of the crop offensive line, and listen, Ty Simpson did not help himself at all either. But I mean, just to see the way the defense played with a lot of pieces that were here last year, right? Like Justin Cryer was integrated into this. Edwin Joseph, Earl Little, Ashlyn Barker, like I said, Daniel Lyons, Darrell Jackson, all these guys that were part of the suck that had to wear it. They got reprogrammed, lickety split to play incredible football. And man, Tony White probably is the single thing that I did not take into account enough, I think, Cord, because he'd done it everywhere, but that seemed to have slipped my mind to think that he'd be able to pull it off at a place here like Florida State.
Yeah, man, he might be the truth. Legitimately, he's had good defenses at Syracuse. He had really good defenses at Nebraska. He might have a darn good defense here, and he still doesn't have all his guys yet. This isn't a roster he got to construct. So that's really encouraging. But I would say surprising with the defense is 25 guys they played. I was stunned by how much the Desirs played, and they played quickly. And they played 5 linebackers. By the way, shout out to Blake Nicholson. He made some real impactful plays. Had a tackle for loss where he triggered and read that really well. I think he had a QB pressure. He had a pass breakup on a deflected a pass at the line of scrimmage. But they all played. Daniel Lyons, I think, started. So I feel like that might have been because it was Alabama and they wanted to get more beefy guys on the. I think they played more 4 down than I thought they would, 4 down linemen and 2 linebackers. So a 4-2-5, it seemed like a lot. They didn't do a lot of trickeration up front as much as I thought but They still, like you said, they did some twists and some stunts. There was always a method to the madness, but it wasn't like, I don't know that they might have done one sellout blitz the whole game. One. But what I want to commend them on and commend him on is, yes, he preaches violence and physicality. It's obvious that team looked nothing like anything we saw last year. They all try to play like Earl Little. Now, Earl Little is one of one, but they all try to play as hard and as physical and violent as he does. That's awesome to see. That is what you want. It's something you can get behind, Aslan. A defense that flies around. That's when I went to corner pocket Saturday night. That was literally the thing that I heard about the most. It wasn't Tommy. It wasn't the offensive line. It wasn't even what a great win it was. It's, man, they flew around and hit people. They played like a-holes, and I love it. That's what you got to do, man. Yeah. That's what you want your defense to be. You don't want to be catching guys and helping them to the ground. You flipping, go send a message with the way you tackle. But anyway, but also smart. So there was I can't remember, I had it, and I can't remember who. There was somebody that read a wide receiver screen really well and stayed out in the flat, saw it immediately, and either made it an incomplete pass or made it a minimal gain on what could have been that I think would have been a huge play last year. Also, they tried to run a tunnel screen to Ryan Williams. Like maybe first half, some point in the first half, I think. Both KJ Sampson and Deontay McCray, by the way, he seemed to play well, immediately recognized what's happening. Just from the way, I think it was from the formation, but also the way the offensive linemen reacted as soon as the ball was snapped. They immediately thought, oh, something's up here. They want me to come upfield. So they immediately backed up, tried to get in the passing lane and look for the wide receiver coming towards them. And they rattled the throw and almost deflected the little tunnel screen to Ryan Williams into an interception because they both read it. And they weren't the only two that saw it. So that is a well-coached team. That is a well-coached, hopefully what appears to be smart football team. And on that same token, Earl Little, we talked about this on the Warchant wrap. Jabril Rawls got into it a little bit with one of their wide receivers. Florida State had all the momentum. It was a big moment. It was about to be a third down. Earl Little sees it becoming a confrontation, sprints up to Jabril Rawls, from like 15 yards away, and yanks him away. Like, nope, we're not doing that. Get it? Nope, I get it. You're not doing that. That is leadership. That is I don't know if he's a captain, but that's a dude acting like a captain. I think he was a captain for the coin toss, by the way. But that's a captain being a captain. And then even Edwin Joseph gets beat for what was going to be a 50-yard touchdown on a fourth down play. It's like a little out. It's not even an out move. It's like a Ryan Williams looks like he's running like a little bit of a slant, puts his foot in the ground, and is going deep. Edwin Joseph bites on it badly. And instead of letting him go by, he grabs him. It's an obvious hold. It is a hold. That was a walk-in touchdown. That's a layup touchdown if he doesn't grab him. Unless my man overthrows him. But if he doesn't grab him. But instead, he grabs him, forces the incompletion. It's 15 yards, an automatic first down. It saved you 4 points because they ended up having to kick a field goal. That's smart football, man. That's football awareness. And the way they milked the clock at the end of the game was nice. That last drive they had, maybe not that touchdown drive, but the last drive they had on offense. It's good to see smart football combined with execution and physicality. That's a good recipe. And that was really, really fun to watch.
23 defensive players played 10 or more snaps, 25
That's
total.
crazy.
Yeah.
What a number.
Earl Little, highest graded. Deontay McCray was your second highest graded guy. Listen, Diamante Diggs had a big TFL in that game.
Yep.
I remember thinking to myself, is Stephon Thompson going to even play in this game? And then Stephon Thompson either had a sack or a TFL.
He did have a sack. Yeah, he had a sack.
I mean, it's incredible when you kind of go up and down this. Jerry Wilson's a name that we didn't even really hear all that much, but that's good. I mean, he's your star cornerback, we think. It's Jaden Jones, right? Jaden Jones, is this a real thing? Is this just the coaches trying to send a message or whatever and reward a guy just for trying hard? Man, and he got in there and knocked down a pass or affected Ty Simpson on a throw. I don't know how that did not get fluttered enough to end up being picked off. And I know
also Daniel Lyons, by the way, was really impactful. We hadn't heard about him all. I don't know if he was being challenged.
He played
great. I don't know how many snaps did he play?
45 out of 75.
Yeah, man, so he's a dude. Like, he's one of their guys now. And I don't know if he was being challenged because they literally never mentioned his name, but he came out and he started, which that was, I don't know if he was he definitely wasn't on the 2 deep as a starter, but he came out and played his rear end off. And he was an impactful player. And he needs to be, because they are gonna double 6 a lot. And he got doubled a ton. But it's nice to have somebody like Daniel Lyons that can go make plays when that happens. And I do think James Williams, although he was not good at all that first drive, he did play much better in the second half, and you see the kind of impact he should be able to have as the season goes on. He's not used to playing that many snaps. He's not used to having to be anything but a third down rusher. He as the game went on, I thought he made more and more of an impact.
Yeah, man, and he'll get better as the season goes. And listen, his bad plays in the first half, I know, really stood out, but maybe, he had 6 pressures, right? And I know he didn't bring the quarterback down, but that guy, Ty Simpson, the fact that he was rushed, like James Williams was able to knock him off of his spot enough times, I'm not trying to say like we're Kirby Smart levels of defense where it's like, we don't care about sacks, we just want to affect and pressure the quarterback, but I don't know, just how many quarterbacks Florida State's going to play, maybe Carson Beck by that time, maybe Cade Klubnik by that time, but are going to be these ultra confident decision makers to where when you rattle them and knock them off their spot, they're going to be able to move up into the pocket and make the right throw. Like maybe those 2 guys. Everybody else is going to have a really tough time trying to get comfortable throwing the ball against the Florida State defense when they're getting pressured like that. So James Williams did more than enough, I think, to make an impact, a positive impact on the game. And it is crazy to think about just how much better this team can get as the weeks go on, because I think both you and I will talk about this coming out of the break. Think that this team is probably nowhere near as playing as best as they possibly could, and that's coming off a 14-point win against a team they were a 2-touchdown underdog with. We've got 1 week of data, everybody. We ready? So are you. Join Corey and myself over at Underdog Fantasy this season to win off the field and win big. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite player will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Corey offered up higher tonight on North Carolina quarterback Gio Lopez and his 216.5-yard total passing yards. I see a line on my guy Iowa quarterback Mark Gronowski for 20.5 rushing yards in the Cy-Hawk game next week. I'll go higher. Choose one or stack multiples into a pick'em entry for even higher odds. All sports are available over at Underdog, whether it's UFC, soccer, tennis, or MLB. Download the app. It's Underdog Fantasy and sign up with the promo code WARCHANT to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code WARCHANT. Download the app Underdog Fantasy. We are back. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Florida State ran the ball 49 times, Corey.
Yeah.
Dropped back to pass 14. I don't know. I think Gus likes that. I know we're talking about Deuce and Squirrel and Randy Pittman.
Yeah.
These are being much more involved moving forward. I agree with that. I do wonder how much of this running game, this exotic run game, if you want to call it that, when you have guys like Danzy and Jalen Lucas and the power and the grit of a guy like Gavin Sawchuk, who his touchdown run was just pure.
Yeah, that was something. Yeah, that was awesome.
Grown man. You've got all the things you want when it comes to a running game. And listen, I just wonder how happy, and we'll know about it next time we talk to you folks after we speak to Gus. But this has to fall a little bit, maybe a little more than he expected with the run heaviness of this all, Corey. But there's no way he's complaining, right? And doesn't think that this is something they can duplicate and maybe lean on as the season and the weeks wear on.
Yeah, I mean, you'd figure if you can run for that against Alabama, you're going to be able to run it pretty well against everybody left on the schedule. The one caveat, though, is I don't know that you want – in fact, I do know you don't want Castellanos leading you in rushing attempts every week. You can't. You know, and I know he probably he doesn't need to be running much at all these next 2 games.
Wasn't Plumlee his leading rusher one year?
With rushing attempts, yeah. Well, I don't know if he was the rushing attempt leader. He was definitely the leading rusher, but 17 rushing attempts is a lot for a 190-pound kid, 180-pound kid throughout the course of a season. It was absolutely needed against Alabama. You hope you don't need it as much moving forward against maybe lesser teams. And I also don't think you want to be an offense that runs it 80% of the time. I don't know that that's the way to That's the balance he wants or needs. I also don't think it's the balance they're going to have. I do think, I think Boggs, Robinson, and Squirrel White, that's a nice trio, and Randy Pittman can go make plays. Like, that's a nice trio to throw to. It was an odd, kind of weird game where you got up by 17 points. You don't have maybe a great passing game now or one that you trust complicitly, like not complicitly, whatever word I'm looking for there. You don't trust wholeheartedly. Completely? I don't think it was that. We'll say wholeheartedly. Implicitly. Implicitly was the word I was looking for.
Yeah, well, you said
no,
implicitly.
we don't. You don't trust it implicitly. Or complicitly or explicitly. It doesn't matter. Multiplicity, use whatever licity you want.
Duplicity.
Duplicity, all of it. So and you don't want to give away. You don't want to make a horrible mistake and get them right back in the game. So I think that was part of not throw. I think they only completed. I want to say the pass to Jalen Lucas, the only pass they completed in the second half, and they didn't need it because they were winning the game always by at least one score, most of the time by 2 scores, and then they were able to run the ball when they absolutely needed to go put the game away, thanks in large part to a really dumb penalty by that Alabama kid just jumping on Castellanos when they had all the momentum. It's cool to see other teams make those mistakes.
2 completions in the second half, by the way.
Okay,
both
all
in the
right.
third quarter.
I think they're going to be a much better passing team than that. They are going to hit some big plays. They are going to go to those wide receivers. I think they have guys there, man. I just do. And throughout the course of a season, they're going to get more and more comfortable. Maybe they trust Tommy more and more to make throws on first and second down. It just didn't seem like you needed to in this game, but you will, and it'll be nice these next 2 games to try to get that passing game going a little bit as you move into the ACC season. So, no, I don't think 80-20 is the percentage you want running the football, but you've got to put your chest out, man. You've got to flex and whatever you want to do. When you put 230 on Alabama as a rushing attack, when last year you averaged 89 for a game, you ran for 89 yards a game or 90 yards a game last year. You were like second to last in the country, and you put up 230 on Alabama in the first game. That is the impact of Gus. That is the impact of Herb Hand and all those new linemen. It's also, again, the impact of a dynamic quarterback that just he gets. There were a couple runs in that fourth quarter where you're like, that's just a dude. That's a competitor that's getting the yards needed to win the game. You don't want to have to rely on that. It's what Florida did with Tebow. He is a completely different body type than Tebow and a completely different runner. I get it. But when it was 3rd and 4, they knew they were going to get a first down, or 3rd and 3. They knew they had the guy at quarterback that could just run for the first down. No coach needed. No coach needed. This is our get-out-of-jail-free card. We have a guy that can go get us a first down. In big games and big moments, I feel like you have it with this kid, even though he's a completely different body type. In some of those runs where he just slips through guys, running to the middle of the field, and then diving and getting low so he doesn't wear a horrible hit, that's fun to see, man, because you feel like that's going to be able to be replicated as long as he's healthy throughout the rest of the course of the season. But he's a difference maker, man. Having a runner like that opens up everything in your running game. And I can't wait to see Chroma unleashed next week and moving forward.
Yeah. Tommy did take one pretty hard, but I think he got 15-yard bonus on it. So I
the one on the sideline?
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of ran into that kid, which was interesting. Yeah, I don't know if he thought that was going to happen or not, but yeah, he got up. So each time he got hit really hard, it was an extra 30 yards.
Yeah. All right, so this all kind of begs the question now, Corey, that we really couldn't talk about it too much. I guess we could have, but I don't know, just would have felt a little bit insincere because, we were mired in what happened and the unknown of this year to think that, all right, what's going to happen if they beat Alabama, right? I don't know how much of you were able to watch a Clemson-LSU game, but that's obviously going to be a factor in a lot of people's minds, rightfully so, right? Like Cade Klubnik kind of looked like 2023 Cade Klubnik.
Yeah.
You see the way that you played. As we record this, we don't know how Miami looks. I'm not even going to make a comment on the game because I don't want to look completely stupid because it's going to happen after the fact. But, all bets are off right now, right? Because, again, to the point that I guess that maybe we need to button up too is that, we don't think this team, if they played that well against Alabama in week 1, and if this wasn't their LSU 2023 where they peaked in week 1, they might be close to their ceiling. I'm not trying to say that they have this vast ceiling of maybe this could be the best team ever, but maybe they did hit their heads close to the ceiling in week 1, but there's probably still some room for growth. How good can they be? Where are your expectations now, Corey? Maybe your definition of success now after Florida State wins their opener in such emphatic fashion.
Yeah, well, I mean, it definitely goes up. I mean, obviously, I think I'll admit that I was counting this as a loss, not a sure loss, as I made sure to mention every time I talked about it, but a probable loss. And then to end up being 1-0 instead of 0-1, and about to be, unless something drastic happens, 3-0. Going into a Friday night Virginia game, yeah, that kind of changes your whole feel and your expectations for the season. Plenty of people last night or on Saturday night were telling me it'd time to get ready for Charlotte.
Yeah,
but it's one game. We get it, but it was also had something to do with the way Clemson looked on the TV right in front of them. It's certainly viable now. Because, look, we don't know how good Alabama is. We don't know how good anybody is. Did Texas look like the best team in the country?
Right.
Damn team had a donut until 5 minutes were left in the fourth quarter.
They would have got us off the hook, by the way, too, Corey. You know that? Somebody asked the Bear, Chris Felica, when was the last time the number one team in the country was shut out in the number one team in week 1?
88. Yeah,
we would have been off the hook.
1988 against Miami. That's right. Yeah, but they had to. Ohio State let them go down the field there with 5 minutes left, and Texas might end up being awesome. That's a tough opener.
Yeah.
Just like it was a tough opener for Alabama. I kept telling I that's a tough opener for a guy that's never played quarterback before. That's a tough crowd. He got I think he got a delay. They had to burn 2 timeouts. He was not ready for that necessarily the moment. He played decent, I guess. But he wasn't anything special like we thought he might not be. Their number 5 certainly was able to get open, but that was all they had. He was half their offense. Literally, I think, was number 5. I can't remember his name. The kid from Washington. That
number
transferred.
5, Jeremy Bernard. Yeah, he's a player.
He had a really good game.
Ryan Williams had 3 drops, man. That kid did not come out to play. He did not help. No.
No, the chance he had at the touchdown, Edwin Joseph smartly grabbed him. Yeah. And he drew I think he drew a DPI in the end zone. I think that was him. But it didn't. I don't even know if that was DPI. I know Quindarius needs to turn around. But anyway, I think when you look at you got to pump the brakes a little bit on how you can't go from, God, I just hope we get to a bowl, to, holy cow, we might be the best team in the country in 60 minutes. It takes more data points than that, or data, however you want to pronounce it. And it's going to take more games and wins against Division I competition, legitimate Division I competition that will be coming, in October. But yeah, it certainly raises the ceiling of what you think this season can be. And again, I tried to, but even I didn't put enough stock in to the roster change. Fine, the coaching staff, the coaches that were hired. I just think you almost can't oversell how important that was. And I point to that drive that didn't put the game away, but it put you back up by 2 touchdowns. It's 4th and a yard. By the way, I thought Tommy got the first down on the 3rd down run.
So did everybody.
But they didn't even review it. Nobody knows the machinations of how they review things in college football. Holy Lord, we actually got 2 measurements, though, Aslan.
We did.
When was the last time we watched a football game that had 2 measurements where the chain gang came out? And that was the 80s.
And that Ty Simpson last 4th down run was clearly short. I can't believe they not only, measured it, but then they reviewed it after, it was measured, too. It was like, come on, man.
And also the Cryer play on their first 4th down stop where they came up a half yard short. I thought he got it on first blush. I'm like, oh, he definitely got that. And they marked him short, and it was a good spot. I thought they got that one right, too. But, yeah, I thought Castellanos on that 3rd and 4, whatever it was, did what he always does because he's such a fucking competitor. He dives, and it's juxtaposed to what we saw last year. I'm not trying to take a dump on kids, but that kid wants to win and wants that first down like his family's life depends on it, and he's diving all out, outstretched, parallel to the ground, to try to get to that yard line to get the first down. They didn't give it to him. I guess they said his knee was short. So I thought they should have challenged it, or the booth should have called. I don't know how that works anymore. But on 4th and 1, your own 34, in the fourth quarter of a one-score game against big, bad Alabama in that front line, not only do you go for it, which takes some cojones there, and that's a Norvell-Gus combo call, I think. Like, it's Norvell's call. Obviously, it's his. He has the final say, but I feel like Gus is telling him, "Yeah, we can get this." I know Pittman was telling him to go for it, but then that push your offensive line got, man. Like, it was not just Castellanos on a QB sneak; it was a handoff, and it wasn't a big gain. It wasn't 4 yards, but it was an easy 2 when you only needed 1. That is a tone setter, man. They went and scored on that drive and won the game. But, man, that could be maybe perhaps a tone setter for the season. Like, yeah, we're not here to screw around. It's 4th and a foot with this with our big offensive line that's been playing football for 30 years, not together, but as college football players. We're going to be a power running game, and we don't think you can stop us on 3rd and 1. And they were good in short yardage, and they had, I don't know, man, like, they didn't have a ton of big runs. I don't know that they had a big run. I don't know if their longest run, other than the Danzy ones, their longest run from Tommy or a running back was probably like 13 yards.
Yeah, Tommy's was 14. By the way, Alabama only had one. I ruined it. Alabama had one rush over 10 yards. One.
Was it Simpson?
No, it was Kevin Riley, like the fourth string running back.
And I assume that was in the first drive of the game.
No, I think it might have been later on, but like it was a 13-yard run. That's the biggest pop they got the entire.
And how many tackles for loss did they have? They were not in the backfield all night, or all day. That's not a ton. Yeah. That's not a lot. When you run 49 times and only 3 times are you tackled behind the line of scrimmage, that means you're doing some work up front. That's a really good, I should say, really talented defensive front. We'll see if they're any good. They got some talent, even missing the defensive lineman that they're missing. For them to kind of do that, to even have the idea, the notion, yeah, of course we're going to go for it. We need a yard. Tessitore, I heard the replay where he's like, well, they snapped it. He just thought they were trying to get him to jump off sides. No. We ain't playing that. No. This ain't that Florida State. They think they can get a yard against mighty SEC Alabama, and they did. And then they went and scored a touchdown and put the game away. It's a new day, man, and that's Gus, Herb, the players on down. It is a mindset of physicality, and I think that could really hopefully set the tone for a really fun season. Yeah.
So, upcoming opponents this season, NC State played on Thursday. They took out East Carolina 24-17. It's a close game, but that quarterback NC State has, he might be good come November. Pitt took down Duquesne 61-9. Virginia took down Coastal Carolina 48-7. Clemson lost LSU 17-10. Those are the only ACC teams that we have the finals of that they'll be playing this year. The Virginia Tech game is going on as we speak about it against South Carolina, and then obviously the Miami game that we recorded beforehand as well.
And Stanford, North Carolina plays tonight. Stanford played last week and lost to Hawaii. So yeah, that's basically the rest of the schedule, right? Except East Texas A&M lost to
SMU.
They
covered
SMU
though.
40.
SMU was a 50.5-point favorite. 50.5.
Yeah.
It was 42-13.
40, yeah, and it was 42-3 with like 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. So 42-13 final. I have no idea what Kent State did.
Kent State won. Kent State won, dog. They beat Derek Mason in Middle Tennessee State. They snapped their 21 game losing streak. Kent State. So
all right.
That might
did
be
they
a
beat
football
them badly?
Team.
Okay, Kent State.
Let me pull it up here. I thought they beat Middle Tennessee State. Oh, never mind. They beat Merrimack. I apologize, Derek Mason. They beat Merrimack 21-17.
Well, that's a little bit. When you said Middle Tennessee State, I'm like, oh, that's kind of a program. Like they're not a great program, but they usually have players. Okay, Merrimack makes me feel better, but still, a win's a win. Congrats to Kent State. That helps.
Confidence, yeah.
And that helps FSU's FPI numbers. The all-important FPI numbers.
Oh, yeah. Hey, we buried the lead, kind of. Not buried the lead. The lead is obviously they beat Alabama. What are they going to be ranked, Corey, next time we talk?
I mean,
they're inside the top 20, right?
I think they'll be, because it is what it is, I think they'll be ranked behind Alabama. That's just how the world
I don't
works.
care about that, but are they going to be? Will it be a teen next year? Will they be 19, 18, or will they be 22, 23?
It'll be
under
interesting.
22
people
and a
just
half.
think, yeah, I would say, what is that? I think they'll be
better.
higher.
Better than
better. Yeah, there you go. I think they'll be better than 22 and a half. I think
Okay.
you're looking at 18.
Okay, I think I'll be in the teens. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, which would be wonderful. It'd be wonderful to be. They're going to be ranked again, and they're just going to keep slowly making that climb.
Sorry
They
to
might be
Derek
like top
Mason,
10 by the time they might be top 10 by the time they play Virginia, just because other teams are going to lose in front of them.
Yeah. Look at this, man. Can you believe it, Corey?
What?
Bad. I mean, we're covering a really good football team
back
again.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something? Hey, and real quick before we go, I did want to, number one, shout out Bert Kreischer. It's a really cool speech he gave before the game. It is also cool. This is not me. He hasn't responded. He probably won't respond. I don't think he likes me anymore. But I did DM Segura and tell him, because they were both in town. So Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer were in town. Segura grew up a Florida State fan. Bert Kreischer obviously went to Florida State. And it is kind of cool. I told Segura this. They're like the modern-day Burt Reynolds is. You know what I mean? Like, they're world famous. They're very, very famous. They sell out arenas all over the world as comedians, and they make movies on Netflix now. Like, they're very, very famous people. And they're well-known Florida State fans. Like, people know they're hardcore, real-deal Florida State fans. People know where Bert Kreischer went to school. I think it's really neat. I hope they embrace that. I don't expect them to be McConaughey on the sideline every week. But it would be really cool if this was more of an annual or routine thing for Segura and Kreischer to come here, because they are loved here. And I do think it's really neat for Florida State fans to have such famous fans of their own, like they can, sell the brand and make it feel fun and special, like Burt Reynolds did, man. Burt Reynolds was a big deal back in the 80s now. I mean, everybody knows that. He was the biggest star in the world there for a while. But him being on the sidelines, everybody knew he was a Florida State fan. That was great publicity for Florida State, and I think Burt and Segura are really good publicity for Florida State too, so I thought that was cool. Again, I just want to commend the stadium. Looked great. It sounded great. There was a lot of worry if it would be ready. There was a lot of hand-wringing about what it would look like, the field. Now, yes, the paint in the end zone wasn't great, but I waited till an hour into the show to bring that up. I'm not kicking everybody's cloud. I'm not killing the vibe. They need to get that taken care of and make it a real garnet. But I just thought it was just a really fun weekend and a great game for a Florida State fan base that needed to feel good again. And what's a better feeling after 2-10 than to go beat Alabama, the team that stole your playoff spot 2 years ago and tried to steal your coach, who you now like again, I think. Beat them by 2 touchdowns. That was really cool. But are we about to leave?
Yeah, shout out everybody. Shout out everybody, Corey. Action.
All right, so I'm going to start off my shout-outs with I was at Indigo on Saturday, met a lot of really nice, fun, wonderful people there, as we always do. And as I was leaving, I was talking to Zach, and his crew, his friends that were up there. I don't think his wife Cassidy was up there, but I don't think she was around for this. But it's awesome that I had witnesses. As I'm getting ready to leave and I'm talking to them, a young lady runs up with her friend who was very sweet, and she seems a little nervous, like to interrupt me, but she finally does, and she says, "Hey, you're Corey Clark." And I go, "Yeah." And she goes, "I'm your biggest fan." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." She goes, "No, really, I am." Her friend was like, "No, she's not lying. She is a huge fan." And we talked for a few minutes. It was really nice. She was very sweet. Her name is Grace. I can't remember where she was. She graduated last year from Florida State. I can't remember where she said she moved to, but she was obviously very excited for the game. And what took it over the top, Aslan, was that she told me when as we were wrapping up, she goes, "You don't understand." She asked for a photo, and she goes, "You don't understand. You're like my Taylor Swift." Which is a normal thing. I hear that a lot, obviously. I hear that all the time. But, yes, I could not wait. I could not wait to tell Stephanie, who, other than your significant other, is probably the biggest Taylor Swift fan in the world, that I'm somebody's Taylor Swift. Okay. I'm somebody's does she have a nickname? T-Bone? What's Taylor Swift's nickname?
Just Swifty. Swifties. Or,
Swifty, yeah.
So,
so we have
Tay-Tay, I think.
So what do we call my fan base?
Clarkies?
Clarkies is probably better. Corey's doesn't even make it's just my name.
But
yeah, so her name was Grace, and that was a very fun interaction. That was very nice. And I did take a photo with her. We reenacted the engagement photo from Taylor and Travis Kelce.
Oh, really?
No, of course not.
That's aggressive.
Yeah, that So, okay, well, prove it. Yeah, so that was very fun. Then I'm going to shout out some other people. Scott St. John. I've hung out with his family before at Corner Pocket. They're very nice. He was celebrating his 59th birthday on Friday.
Nice.
Wanted to give them a shout-out and the family. Valerie from Lofty Pursuits. Shezzy's a huge fan of the show. Michael Hayes. We talked about bench pressing out on the patio at Corner Pocket. He's a Polk County Nole.
Yes.
He's part of their booster club.
Yes.
So maybe we can go down there and shout out the folks there one time. Geneva at Corner Pocket was very, very nice. Army veteran, which was really cool to see. There was two guys. I want to tell this story real quick just because it's very funny. There's a guy named Jack and a guy named Dom. They introduced themselves like, hey, we're big fans. I think Dom is talking. And he's like, yeah, we're really big fans. We've been family friends forever, pointing to the other guy, which is, I know now is Jack. And then after we talked for a few moments, and I go, okay, well, how do y'all know each other? And Dom goes, well, my dad, funny enough, my dad is his mom's twin. And I'm like, well,
What?
doesn't that mean you're related?
Yeah.
You're not family friends. And then Jack was like, yeah, we're going to talk about that as soon as we leave here. I can't believe he introduced me as a family friend when I'm his cousin. So that was a very funny. And Jack ended up buying me a beer, so he's a good guy. We all know that. There was an Ashley. I don't want it to be all women that I'm shouting out here, but it's really cool. It was a really it's really fun when anybody comes up and speaks to us. But Ashley wearing a Braden Fish jersey. I met him at a tailgate, and he was very, very nice. Lives in Alabama, so I think he said he lives in Alabama, so that win was especially sweet. Tanya at CP, a friend of Cassidy's, who's sort of, I guess, a friend of Stephanie and I's. I want to say sort of. That was rude. Cassidy, you're our friend. So I met her on Saturday night. She was a very big fan of the show. And then there was a really funny incident that happened at Corner Pocket I want to tell you about, Aslan. As I'm walking to say hey to a table, this was late in the night, like 11 on Friday night.
Woo.
I was there, man.
You
A
were?
guy named Mike, who I got his name later, he stopped me, like almost grabbed me. He's like, hey, man, is there any way you can get that TV turned to the Little League World Series? It's like, all right, man.
Nice.
That was a great line. That's
Deep
a great
cut.
line. That was,
Deep cut.
yeah, that was. And finally, I think I mentioned everybody that I wanted to mention. I wanted to shout out our friend Kara from Texas.
Yeah,
we
Dallas,
met her in
Dallas
Charlotte.
Club. Yeah.
Kara Hauser, I think is her last
Correct.
name. I don't
That
want
is
to blow
correct.
up her spot.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to dive into any personal details for her. About her, but let's just say it's not been a great year maybe for the family. And what happened on Saturday and the way she talked about what it meant to her family to see that win, to experience that win in that stadium, it was really, really heartfelt and sweet, and it just reminds you of what this place means to people, what this program means to people. And that was kind of a stark reminder of, yeah, man, I know it's sports. I know it in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't mean much, but it kind of does too. It's communal. It feels like a family. You're all cheering for the same thing, and it means so much to so many people. And obviously I can relate. I had a dad that passed away in 11, and then I remember I had my ex-wife Shanna was in the crowd when Rashad Green caught that touchdown to tie the game against Oklahoma at 13-13. My buddy was sitting with Shanna and said tears just started pouring down her face. Because, yeah, man, you start thinking of loved ones that maybe have passed away and what that meant. And maybe it was 3 weeks after he had died, so you start thinking, is this meant to be? Did John Clark have a hand in that? And if he did, why couldn't he get a stop on the next series so Florida State could have won the game? But even still, like, it just matters. It means so much. And, Stephanie was talking about her and Michelle, Mark and Michelle, who are friends of the show and came down this weekend. She was sitting next to Michelle, and after Mekhi Danzy scored that touchdown to take the lead, they're both crying because they're just so happy and overjoyed that what happened last year is done. And it's a new season, and there's hope and excitement again, and good feelings again. And that's what those kind of moments with Kara, or hearing about tears in the stands, it just being so emotional and so invested and so happy. It's kind of why we have jobs. And it's also just really uplifting to hear because we know it matters. We do know it matters, and it really, really is. We are grateful, forever grateful that anybody that comes up, and I try to take time anytime somebody comes up to talk to me, because it does matter. And I know this program matters to a lot of people. I know this podcast matters to a lot of people. And, I wanted to give a shout-out and a thanks and try to make, as you do too, Aslan, it means so much to you too. Oh, yeah, you feel the lows and you feel the highs, and you've lived it for 20 years now, 25 years now. And it's just it means so much. And after what we went through last year, to feel that on Saturday night, it was the first good Saturday night Florida State fans had since December in Charlotte, and it lasted for 8 hours until they took it from you. So for everybody to just have that cathartic release of emotion and good emotion, fun emotion, loving emotion, it was really cool, and it means a lot, and it always will. And hopefully, I'll be saying this after they win the national championship in 3.5.
Hell yes. Also,
can you play Taylor Swift on the way out for us?
Gio Knoll, who's a big fan. We met him at Corner Pocket. I forgot to shout him out. The Tom Brinks, Sevy, and his dad Stevens, and the whole clan was out there as well. And, James B. was there. James B. his brother Carter was there.
James B. always there. Yeah, I don't want to overlook him, too.
Yeah,
Ralph was there,
Ralph
absolutely.
was there.
Yeah.
Shane and Michelle. Yeah,
yep.
We love all of you. And if we didn't shout you out, I promise we love you. And I'll be at the CP on Friday. And so if you're there, let me know. Yeah.
They're 1-0 when you show up.
Let's go, Corey, man. Let's go.
We did it, Aslan.
Playoff game on campus or playoff game in a bowl site, Corey? What's going to happen?
I want campus. Campus.
Okay.
I want them to blow the ACC championship game intentionally just so they can host one at Doak.
All right. We got lots to talk about, even with it being Labor Day. We'll be back with another show for you folks. We'll have coordinator thoughts. The coordinator interviews are up over on warchant.com right now, so go check all of that out. Jeff Cameron Show montage coming your way as well, 1 to 4 o'clock with Tom Lang. And subscribe to warchant.com, everybody. Come back home. We've missed you. It'll be fun. Promise. He's Corey Maslon. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Must be 18 or older, 19 or older in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 in Colorado for some games, 21 and older in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. Present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.